Welcome to the Hell Divers 2 Types of Players Tier List Part 2.
Going in an eagle.
Where would you rank a new player on this list, but he knows how to use a 500 kg bomb? That's right, S tier. You all had some excellent ideas of things to add to this list, and in the favor of democracy, I'll be adding them today. Like always, let me know down below which type of player you are, or if I maybe missed one, and subscribe to the channel really helps. First up is the Lone Wolf. This player only plays alone. They're always found on the other side of the map. They're never with the team no matter what. They can either be super useful and super helpful, or absolutely useless. They're just off doing their own thing in the middle of nowhere. You don't even know if they're doing the objective, but if they somehow end up doing the right thing, they can be the most clutch player. So they're going in B tier. Next up is the speedrunner. Every game has speedrunners. It's just how it is. Some people like to get games done quick. It's low-key a good strategy as well. As the round gets longer, it gets harder as the game goes on. But forget ever killing something again unless it's the objective, because they are going and getting it done instantly. The mission will be over before you know it. These players are good fun to play with if you are really trying to beat levels and add to the score and level up quickly. But if you're trying to mess around and get into gunfights and have a long drawn out mission, these players are not for you. So B tier. Next up, and going into B tier, but honestly I'm tempted to almost put him into A tier, is the Sentry Master. All the stratagems are purely spent on staying in one spot and setting up defense.
Wow, great turret. Firing right against the wall.
Yeah, they're not that smart.
These players' favorite games are Balloon Tower Defense and Plants vs Zombies. Their gameplay is to set up in one spot and hold that position, and honestly they're good at it. They love coming up against the tanks and the titans because this is what they were set up for. But sometimes you have to move around and sometimes they get pinned down. At the end of the day, these players are good at holding down a point, but they kind of suck at getting to objectives, which is why they're in B tier. Because yes, it's good to hold one position, but unless it's really central, they are kind of just out of the way, making the round go longer, and eventually you're going to get overrun. The first player going into the C tier is the fight everything player. If you're trying to go stealth, good luck with this player. It's just not gonna happen. These players are honestly such a wild card on this list because sometimes if they're fighting everything and winning, well, that's a really good thing. So they can either be an excellent addition to the squad or someone that dies instantly and causes more problems than they are worth. Honestly, I don't even think these players know that there's an objective on the missions. They truly believe that they just gotta drop down there and kill as many bugs or bots as possible. So that's why I put them in C tier. Next up is the 500 kg bomb only. These players love the big bombs, and it is a little bit ineffective. Yes, it is good for taking out really big groups of enemies, but sometimes that just doesn't happen. But honestly, these players that love these bombs, they don't care. They're using it against anything. They forget they even have another weapon. Low-key though, they've got their timing right and they've got a bit of practice with it. They can be super clutch sometimes, so C tier. Now, the other side of this is the hold this 500 kg for me, yeah? These players love using the orbital strikes and the bombs, but only for one reason. Friendly fire only, to take out their teammates along with the enemies. Sometimes they forget there's friendly fire in the heat of the moment, or maybe they don't even care. If you're doing it with your own friends, it's funny, but if you're joining random squads, it's kind of annoying. And this game low-key like promotes friendly fire in a way because it's so easy to do. But honestly, these players, they're doing it intentionally, so D tier. The first player going into S tier are the Creek Crawlers. These players held the line. You know who you are. Never forget the Creek Crawlers. These players fought on arguably one of the hardest planets so far. These players truly love this planet for some reason. I don't know why you guys picked this planet, but you know what? Couldn't be me. And for some reason, they could just handle the chaos. Like, it's literally like base Vietnam. It's crazy. But you know what? Shout out to players doing it. S tier. Next up, the Solo Diver. Now, I did say the Lone Wolf was in B tier, but the Solo Diver is a bit different. The Solo Diver is a player that just plays solo most of the time. A Lone Wolf can just be someone that like plays on a team, but likes to kind of go do their own thing. A Solo Diver is always solo. Heading into Hell as a one diver special. They're usually super good at playing the game and beating the harder missions because they kind of have to be, like, they're by themselves, so if they want to beat it, it's on them. You know that they're going to clutch up. Sometimes, and this is why they get ranked in A tier, sometimes players that only play by themselves, they just like don't fit into teams very well. And maybe in this game with friendly fire, it might not be as good. I also swear these players never have mics. Is that just like a thing? Maybe it's the reason they go solo, but these players never have mics. I don't know if anyone out there is a solo diver and plays by themselves. Is it because you don't have a mic? Coming in is the meta player. Meta pretty much means doing the most effective strategy. Not a bad player to have, because you know that these players love tier lists and tryharding. The equipment they're bringing and the strats that they're doing are actually pretty good, so they're going to pull their weight. However, and this is why they drop a lot lower, some players just want to play the game for fun, but meta players only want people to have optimum builds, so they can get super annoying trying to tell people what they should and shouldn't do. Meta players, C tier. Going into B tier, now that I look at it, doesn't really make sense, but it's the off meta player. Forget everything you know. These players don't want your tier list, they don't want your strategy that's super effective. They just want to have fun, and I think that's like why I kind of appreciate these players more.
Watch this.
And also why they're probably funner to play with, because they don't really care what you're doing. Only thing they know and the only thing they care about is democracy. Hell yeah. They like trying out a bunch of things, even if they're super ineffective. It is annoying if you play solo and you have a bunch of these players not pulling their weight, but that's really rare to happen. Even if they're doing something a little bit off meta or trying something weird or new, they're still trying to win. Some things don't start as meta. You have to remember, some things can start somewhere. We need these players. So, beats it. The bug killer players only. These players, they got a passion for killing bugs. I don't know, maybe they don't like the feeling of getting shot from a mile away. Maybe they love the thrill of having like a final stand, all the bugs coming in on them, fighting to the last bullet. Or maybe they love the big explosions of when they all group up and you drop down an orbital laser. Doesn't matter, these players love killing the bugs, and at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter which one you like to move more. As long as you're killing something, you're fine for democracy. A tier. Now, you know I'm going to come in on the flip side of that. Also A tier, the machine killers only. These players, maybe they like keeping it clean. Maybe they like fighting machine. At the end of the day, they love getting into a gunfight. They love the pressure. And maybe they just like the duck mechanic. I don't know. When I fight machines, the funnest part is like ducking and kind of like crawling under the bullets. I feel like that's so hype. If there's one thing that will haunt these players though, it's hearing bot drop inbound. It rings in their nightmares. They hate that sound. They hate that audio. But at the end of the day, these players love blowing things up and they love getting into gunfights. A tier. Coming in is the I don't like democracy player. We all start somewhere with this game, so hating on the new players or not kind of being welcoming to new players isn't the way to go. And yeah, so all those players, we'll group them here. These players can be seen in so many comment sections on so many videos. Maybe they low-key just feel bad for the bugs and the bots, but guess what? We don't care. They go D tier. Next up, going into B tier, the mech only players. Maybe it's like a recency bias of people trying out the mech and only using the mech. And honestly, fair enough, it is sick. They haven't used anything else since it came out. And when you're versing the bugs, it's also kind of sick because you've got two guns mowing them down and you got that like added protection. It's like something out of Avatar. It kind of looks like the thing out of Avatar as well, which is kind of sick. Instead of blue people, it's bugs. Honestly, mechs are super fun. One of the best things they've added to the game so far. I love it personally. Last but absolutely not least, and going into S triple plus tier, just kidding, D tier are the Xbox players. It sucks to be an Xbox player, you chose the wrong side of the fence. GG. Thank you so much for watching this definitive player tier list of Helldivers 2 Part 2. Check out the original video if you want to see some other players I ranked. Please subscribe. Catch you in the next one. Have a great day. Cheers.